So today was the 21st anniversary of my journal writing. It was just like any other year. I do a little book gathering. It's kind of my tradition. I do a book gathering and I write a little bit of the current journal, and then that's it. But to kind of give a backdrop a little bit on how all of this started to get everyone up to speed, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So, as most everybody knows, I have struggled my entire life trying to fit in with the rest of the rest of the world, the rest of the crowd. I've always been the kid who is over here while the rest of the world is over there. And no matter how hard I tried, no matter how good I was, I always tried to ingratiate myself with people who would not let me into their world or their realm of reality, And I struggled with that my whole life. So fast forward to 1999, I was about 13 years old. It was on November 16th, by the way. I think at the time I might have been seeing a counselor or talking to a therapist or somebody. But my mom, she bought me this little black book, and it had a bunch of blank pages in it, and she told me, she says, now I want you to write down your thoughts. She says, it looks like you had a bad day at school, which I did. I was very depressed, very distraught. I was angry and mad and frustrated at the fucking world, And she says, well, it looks like you had a rough day. Write your thoughts down in this little book. And it's like, I don't want to fucking write. What are you talking about? I'm thinking, I don't want to write in this book. I don't want you knowing my personal thoughts or my personal business. I don't want you knowing anything what's going on. I can take care of it myself. I'll handle it in my own way, just like I always do. But she encouraged me. She says, you can write it down. You can let me read it or not. Doesn't matter. You can let your dad read it or not. Doesn't matter. Either way, just, write down your thoughts. So well, okay. I'm thinking, okay, what the hell? Can't hurt to try, right? So I'm writing. I figure, well, there's a line at the top of the page, so that must mean that I have to give it, give it like a subtitle, because it'd be my first book, or just, whatever. I'm going to write a few lines and be done, get bored with it, be done, and go on to something else. So I figured, okay, well, the page, the format of the page, the layout is designed where I got to have a title. So today was a bit of an awkward day. So I just wrote it as an awkward day. And I had written out, 13-year-old kid, very immature in writing, very just not well thought out. I wasn't yet at the peak or the maturity level of thinking and expressing myself. So this was all, brand new to me. It was, from scratch. It was just all new, and I didn't really know what to say or what to write. I wasn't thinking about spelling or punctuation or anything like that. I just started writing. I said, okay, well, can't be that big a deal. So that's it. I'm done, So the next day was kind of like a carbon copy of the first day, and it's like, well, okay, so what do I do? Go back to this little book again? So I did, and I had written down some more thoughts and had given, a subtitle to the second, entry or whatever of this little book I'm supposed to be writing in. And then gradually over time, like it suddenly became a habit, like it was a mantra, And before you know it, here it's the year 2000, I completed this book. I ran out of things to write about in this book, or I ran out of space to write my thoughts and to write about what was going on. And then I thought to myself, well, where do I go from here? What's the next thing I have to do? So I figured, okay, so I guess I should continue on, like I should press forward with this writing thing, because it's starting to become like a habit of mine, and I'm kind of okay with this. It's pretty cool. I'm actually enjoying writing and expressing myself, because I've never done this before. I'm having a hard time fitting in, but at least I got this book. I can write in. So I asked my mom and dad at the time, I said, well, could you um, buy me some more books? Maybe some more pens or writing utensils so I can continue on with the writing. Could you buy me some more books so I can write down my thoughts? Sure thing, you could get books a dime a dozen. Um, and they did, so they bought me a couple of big books, and then I, started out small, then eventually I ended up in the composition book, but I started out with different variations of book sizes. Not all the I don't think all the pages were lined. Maybe some of them were, or all of them were. I don't even remember right now. I don't have them in front of me, so I can't. I don't really recall. But I do remember that I started to get the hang of, writing in this journal, like keeping this daily log of my life, and I was chronicling every move I made and every just everything going on in my life. And then I started to talk more about what's going on in the world. And then, but before I know it, I'm 15, 16 years old, and I'm doing this every day, like clockwork. And I was churning out all these journals, all these thoughts, and I was writing poetry even before I started writing journals. So I had some writing practice, when I was younger. I used to write little, ribbles and dribbles, as I call them. But it started to pick up. I started to really fall in love with this idea of writing about my day and expressing myself. And meanwhile, I'm still struggling trying to fit in with my peers because they're not very accepting. And so it's like, well, okay, I got this thing over here that I'm doing, this hobby that I'm really enjoying. I'm really starting to get the hang of it, and I can feel the juices flowing, I was really feeling the inspiration. And then suddenly one day I just said, fuck it. These people can't accept me for me, fuck them. I always knew I was a rebel, but now that I had this other thing I had to look forward to, this hobby, I had something to do. I had a place where I could vent my thoughts and my feelings, my opinions, and I could identify with, okay, I'm expressing myself. This is me, venting my thoughts. And eventually over time, it just grew on me. I grew into it. And, since then, I've done a lot. I came up with, poem projects. I started to put poems together into books, and giving those books titles. And I started to, kind of dabble a little bit with drawing. I wanted to include that in with my journal writing and things like that. And then eventually I started collecting autographs, which is also art. And I became friends with lots of people. And then social media happened, which really fucked everything up. But all in all, eventually I would give my entire hobby a title. So I decided to go with The Story of a Lifetime because it's very befitting to a generation where I was growing up. And we were all going through whatever it was we were going through together. We had September 11th, which I had written about. We had, it's like this new way of life and living. Where do we go from here? So we were all kind of growing up together. We were all going through this together. So from that moment on, it's like, well, this is kind of a new way of life and living. And now we have to adapt to this whatever it is that's going on in our country now, and this is who we are, and this is what we do. But eventually, through the years, I just started to detach myself from the mainstream. I started to go the other way, and it's like, I've been a people pleaser for so many years. Now I'm 34 years old. Now I just don't fucking care about pleasing anybody. I've always been a rebel. I've always done my own thing. You can love me or leave me. It doesn't fucking matter either way. And once I realized that, I don't fucking care. I don't give a shit about anything. it freed me even more as a writer. And I became more expressive with my poetry. I just became more freer in expression with anything I'd write in my journals. And I changed through the years. I even did a 16-page writing piece called The Big Word in 2012. And there's a lot of things I said that I regret today because I was in a completely different state of mind back then, and I wasn't thinking about anything else. And so I'm not going to edit anything. A lot of people say, well, if you're not proud of it, why don't you go back and edit? No, because I want for the evidence to show that I have matured, I have grown. I am not the same person I was in 2002 or 2003 or whatever. I have long since grown up from the earliest days of my writing, and I'm a different person now. My ways of thinking have completely changed. When I started writing, I was a Christian. Now I'm an atheist. I don't hold the same values as I did when I first started writing, and it's not just religion or anything. There's a lot of different things about myself that changed, even my appearance, it changed through the years. And today, on my 21st anniversary of my journal writing, I'm reflecting. I look at all my journals as they're sprawled out on the floor, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I fucking went through a lot of shit when I was growing up, But now I just... And I noticed too, like after, when I started to become more open with my poetry and my journals, what I was writing in my journals, I would share it on social media, and I would share a lot of my poems on social media. I would express myself. I got brave enough that I wanted to share it with the world, that I wanted to share my writing with everybody on Facebook. I want to share it publicly. I shared it here on YouTube. And so I started to notice kind of an insurgence after that, where more and more of my friends, more people were actually picking up an ink pen and actually writing poetry, trying their hand at poetry, because, whatever it was I had written or whatever it was I had said, it somehow had inspired them. Now, would I say that all of this is a success? Sure. I'm not making money at it. I don't look at it as a financial success because I'm not making money. I'm not earning money. This isn't a way of living. But in terms of inspiring other people to want to write, absolutely. I think it is a success. I think what I've done and what I continue to do is inspiring, and that's the whole point. But at the end of the day, I'm just being myself. And that's what I want for any writer, whether it be poetry, journals, whatever, both, whether you're doing this for money or not. I want you to be inspired enough to when you write something, just be fucking honest. Just be brutally fucking honest. Be free in your writing. Be true to yourself and anybody else who could potentially read it later on. Just be honest. Just be yourself. Just be you. And see, that's when I figured out that, I am different from my peers. I do stand out from the crowd. I shouldn't be letting this drag me down. I should be celebrating this. I'm fucking different, man. There's something about me that stands out from everybody else. I should be proud of that. I should take advantage of that. And I did. And when other people saw for themselves that, hey, this Jered Fuller guy, he's doing stuff and he doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks. He's doing it on his own, It inspired them. And there would be, my mom and dad were writing journals and poetry. And my mom was writing poetry for a little while. My dad was keeping a journal. Amy, I think, still keeps a journal. She's not as prolific as I am. And maybe at some, she's a seasonal writer, which means that she'll, every so often or every rare occasion, she'll open her journal book and she'll write down her thoughts, which is fine, But me, I've been prolific for all these years, and other people see that. They see that I am my own person. They ask questions, and it's fine. I'm a childhood cancer surviving poet, journal writer, and I'm rebellious. I'm a rebellious type. I'm anti-mainstream. Really don't give a fuck about mainstream. I could care less about the fucking mainstream. But just being myself, that's the main thing. That's the truth that set me free, was the fact that I could be myself and not give a fuck what anybody else thinks. And when more people saw that, they followed that. I know they did. I had an impact or an influence on the people around me. They wanted to try their hand at writing, and they say, well, I used to write, but I haven't written in years. I think I might want to start again. As a matter of fact, one of my friends texted me today, and she says, I would be a journaler. That's not a word, but she says, I used to keep journals, and then I just kind of stopped because everything happened in life, and I just didn't have the time. She says, but now that I know that you've been prolific, you've been sticking to this for all this time, for all these years, she says, you've inspired me to want to pick up the pen again and continue to write again. And that goes for any of you listening to this out there, any of you listening to this. If you used to be a writer and you stopped, I encourage you to pick up that fucking pen again, because there is nobody like you. You're going to shake things up. You're going to change the world. And I love people who don't follow the fucking mainstream. They go their own way. Guys like me and you, we laugh at the rest of the world because they all think too much alike. We are doing our own thing over here, thinking for ourselves, being the morons and the heathens we are, thinking for ourselves, forming our own opinions, not giving a fuck what anybody thinks. That's us. Take pride in that shit. I know I do. The story of a lifetime and everything that it entails, the autographs, the poems, the journals. If I didn't start writing journals, none of this other stuff would even exist. There wouldn't be the story of a lifetime if it wasn't for the journals. And I think it's enhanced my poetry over the years. And I want to say that writing has taught me quite a bit about myself. It's taught me about other people. I've learned so much from writing that, and I was self-taught. Like they taught me in school how to form complete sentences and things like that, parts of a sentence and speech and all that stuff. But a lot of it I had to learn on my own. I didn't have someone looking over my shoulder saying, well, you're writing that, but you're using the wrong word, or you're misspelling a word, or the pronunciation is incorrect. I didn't have someone constantly looking over my shoulder. I didn't have an extra set of hands involved in the story of a lifetime. This was all me on my own. This was my idea that I came up with. And I'm fucking proud of it. I'm really proud of it. Like I said, there's a lot of things I've said in the past that I regret now. And I can own up to it and say, hey, I fucked up. I made a mistake. Lots of mistakes were made along the way as I was growing up through the years, but that's part of the learning process. That's why I don't want to change anything, because that's evidence that I started out here, and through the years I ended up here. And I'm a different person. I've changed just completely all the way around. So that's why I'm not editing anything. I'm not going to modify anything. I'm leaving everything exactly the way it is, as it was written. Because it is possible. You can watch yourself mature and grow and blossom into this person after having gone through so many changes and being affected by different kinds of weather, so to speak, the different weather, the weather change of life, so to speak. You withstood the test of time. And for me, the story of a lifetime is that. I'm just one person growing up through the years, chronicling my life, writing poetry, doing extra projects on the side like the Jered Mobile and the Big Word, and my poem projects and autograph photos. By the way, my collection is expansive. Almost 400 autographs in my collection, which is really impressive. So that's what this means to me. This is my life. It's everything I wanted it to be, and I can always add more to it in the years to come, and I plan to do that because this is me and my I don't give a fuck about anything attitude, And the one thing that most people didn't like about me the most, it wasn't so much the fact that I was different, but they couldn't fit me inside their box. I was a circle that couldn't be squared, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't fit me into their precious perfect little delusions. They couldn't fit me because I didn't fit. And instead of, all this time, for all these years I was beating myself up because I didn't fit in, now I'm embracing that fitting in, and the hatred from these people and the bitterness from these people is evidence that they can't mold or sculpt or shape me into this person that they want me to be. I am my own person. You can't fucking make me into something that I'm not or someone that I'm not. You're going to accept me for me in my natural form or walk the fuck out of my life. I don't care. And all my journals, I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for years, 21 years now, 21 years as of today. And I love what I do. It brings me great joy. I could be depressed about a lot of things, super depressed, and I have been lately, but the writing has really helped me. I don't know how I could have ever gotten through the last 21 years without my journal. And that is no fucking lie. How could I have ever made it this far without wanting to kill myself or kill somebody else, The journal really saved me from me. And it gives me something to look forward to every day. And this is me. This is a reflection of me. I'm just being myself. And if anyone can take anything from what I do, if they follow anything that I do, I just hope the one thing that they can take from this is that at the end of the day, they can be themselves and be free in expressing themselves. So, cheers to 21 years of the story of a lifetime. My name is Jered Fuller, aka the Jered Bear. Thanks for listening. On to the pages I go. Time to write some more. Toodaloo.